Ang clarification dito ni Henry Pride Teves ay hindi siya inaresto kundi boluntaryo po siyang sumuko. So just correction doon sa balita ng Department of Justice na kanilang finid sa media at yun naman ang ibinalita ng media. This is the reason why huwag tayong basta-basta maniniwala sa mga bali-balita ng mainstream media. Ngayon nga, dati-rati, kung itong mga mainstream media nung panahon ni Tatay Digong, sila yung fact check ng mga bali-balita ng nung mga vloggers or social media influencers at that time. Ngayon baliktad na. Tayo na ang nagfa-fact check dito sa mainstream media dahil iba yung kalakaran na ngayon. They are more likely to incline to the side of this government na alam naman natin na medyo kaduda-duda na ang mga galawan. And that is the reason why na itong foreign policy ng current government ngayon ay medyo kaduda-duda na. Tila baga tayo po ay binenta na. Para tayong alam mo yun na wala tayong choice dahil hindi naman tayo ang nasa posisyon, kahit anong gawin natin na pagrarally or pagkondina sa kanilang action ay parang walang nangyayari dahil wala tayo sa posisyon. Yung nalalagay na tayo sa bingit, wala tayong magawa dahil sila naman ang nasa posisyon. So that is very dangerous na move. Ngayon, kung titignan natin itong balita, dito pa lang no, makikita ninyo dito sa title pa lang, Violence Involving Chinese Coast Guard and Philippine Boats. Panoorin muna natin. Sabi nung in-check, don't move, don't move, don't move. Tapos hawak-hawak niya yung palakol. Palakol. May nakita ba tayong baril? Tingnan nga natin.
This violent confrontation happened amid tensions in dispute.
So take note hindi po mga Coast Guard yung nandyan. Philippine Navy. That means nasa gray area na tayo. Kasi Navy hindi Coast Guard. So anything can happen kapag militarized na yung involved. Ito yung sinasabi natin na kung dati-rati mga white ships or mga bang hindi siya yung Coast Guard lang, medyo safe tayo diyan. Kaya lang pag nilagyan mo na ng military factor itong mga ganitong pangyayari, malapit-lapit na tayo doon sa nakaambang yung posibilidad na magkaroon sila ng hindi lang yung matinding konfrontasyon na baka buhay ang mailalagay diyan. Not to mention, sabi nga 'di ba natanggalan ng isang daliri. Natanggalan ng daliri yung isang soldier diyan. Tatawagin na nating soldier, no? Thank you, Bert Conan. Soldier kasi na yan Navy na ang ipinasok nila diyan. So tingnan natin.
Disputed waters of the South China Sea. The face-off between Chinese and Philippine military personnel was near the disputed Second Thomas Shoal.
So ito ano to? Pinoy pa rin pala.
Footage released by the Philippine military showed.
So Chinese. Okay. Philippines.
One of its boats.
Okay.
Being rammed.
Okay. Binangga. Okay, ibinangga.
And an inflatable
tapos
being punctured with knives.
Ayan, pinuncture niya ng knife. Ayan.
Before the Chinese Coast Guard boarded the
saan yung
Philippine
nag-board?
vessels.
Saan? Hindi ko nakita yung sinasabing nag-board.
With knives. Before the Chinese Coast
Saan?
Guard boarded the Philippine vessels. China said.
Saan yun? Ito. Ito yun, di ba? Tama ba?
it was responding to an illegal intrusion in its territory when it conducted a boarding inspection. The inspection was the first done since a Chinese law went into effect days earlier, giving sweeping new powers to the nation's Coast Guard. The measure allows
Ayan,
Coast
para sa mga bagong dating like and share po tayo.
Guard
Thank you.
officers to inspect cargo, while in what they said
So,
was
wait, balikan natin yan.
Coast Guard. The measure allows Coast Guard officers to
Okay, so ito yung Philippine boat, pinagitna nung Chinese Coast Guard. Ayan, pinagitnaan, inipit nila. Malinaw, tas meron pa sa likod. Ito, makikita na natin aggression na talaga ito. Sige, comment tayo
inspect
later.
cargo, while in what they said was Chinese territory.
Okay.
One Filipino sailor sustained what the military described as a
Ayun, natanggalan
serious
ng
injury.
Okay.
Manila says the sailor was evacuated and has undergone medical treatment.
Okay. Bakit yun nasugatan or natanggalan ng kamay? Kasi naram yung Chinese boat doon sa Philippine boat. Okay. Ipo-point out natin yan. Ano sabi? The Chinese Coast Guard actions on the day were not only reckless and aggressive, but also illegal. Illegal sabi nila illegal. They have no right or legal authority to hijack. Okay, hijack kasi sumampa yung isa doon sa Philippine boat. Our operations and destroy Philippine vessels operating within our exclusive economic zone. Okay? Sabi ni Browner.
China, on the other hand, said the Philippines was at fault.
Kasalanan daw ng Pilipinas.
中国海警的现场采取的执法措施是专业克制的。
Sabi niya, law enforcement measures taken by the China Coast Guard at the site were professional and restrained. Sabi naman ng China, very restrained yung kanilang yung action. Pero sa Pilipinas, very aggressive at illegal yung ginawa. So mamaya, kukomentuhan natin yan.
旨在拦阻非方的船只非法
aimed at obstructing the illegal transporting and supplying by the Philippine ships. Okay?
运补，没有对非方的
Illegal daw yung transportation.
人员
No direct measures were taken against personnel.
皆采取措施，
walang direct measures were taken against the personnel of the Philippines maliban doon sa natanggalan ng daliri.
非方一再声称运补的是
Claim that it is transporting daily necessities.
生活物资，但实际上
But in fact, it has been smuggling construction materials. Okay.
一直在偷运建筑材料，甚至武器弹药。
And even weapons and ammunitions in an attempt at long-term occupation of Renai Reef or
企图
Second
长
Thomas
期
Shoal.
侵占仁爱礁。
The disputed Second Thomas Shoal has been a flashpoint for the two countries in recent months. The atoll lies within what Manila considers its maritime zone, but Beijing has also claimed the area.
Okay. Sige, komentuhan natin yan. Okay. Kasi nung first day, wala silang pinakitang video. So ngayon, nag-release sila ng video at yan na ngayon. Unang comment ko dito, Kasi sa side ng Philippines, aggressive and illegal. Sa side ng China, restrained yung kanilang ginagawa. Okay. Unahin natin yung sinasabi nilang aggressive at illegal yung kanilang ginagawa ng Chinese Coast Guard. Aggressive, sige, sabihin natin aggressive yung ginawa nila, yung pag-puncture ng boat, yung pagsampa nung yung Coast Guard, Chinese Coast Guard doon sa boat, okay, we can say it's aggressive and illegal. Tama yon, no? At even yung pagraram nila ng Philippine boat. Ang tanong natin dito, nasaan yung mga kano? Sige. Sabihin na natin, nasaan na yung mga kano? In fact, even doon sa mga comments ng pagre-release nila ng, ito sa mga videos na ganito, marami na rin yung mga supporters nila. Yung noong una, maalala ninyo nung una-una na ganito yung sabi nila, in fact, pati si Marcos naglabas siya ng kanyang pahayag na, "Hindi, laban tayo, hindi tayo atras." Parang gano'n yung dating ng ano niya, 'di ba ang daming pumalakpak, "Dapat ganyan tayo, si Duterte wala, duwag." Gano'n sila. Okay, ngayong nangyayari na ito, nag-escalate from, water cannon to ano, from ano, ano 'yun, yung laser, okay, laser cannon saka water cannon to this, ito na yung pagsampa sa boat, pag-puncture ng boat, okay. Ang tanong, nasaan na si BBM? Nasaan na yung mga kano? Kasi 'di ba sabi nila Browner na itong ginawa nila is, in fact ano, parang ano, parang gawain ng mga pirates, parang gano'n. So, kung tutuusin pasok na 'to sa MDT. Kasi ginamitan na ng kumbaga may armed conflict na ito. Ang tanong, nasaan na sila? Nasaan yung mga kano dito? Oh, patunayan ninyo na tama yung approach na ginawa ng Marcos administration ngayon na nag-escalate na at may naputulan ng daliri. Ano na ang gagawin? Patuloy ba tayo na magmukha tayong kawawa na may insulto na wala naman pala? This is a plain show or proof or ano yun, demonstration of power. So sa susunod, mauulit pa rin at mauulit yung ganito dahil nakita naman nila na wala namang kaukulang aksyon na ginawa ang gobyernong ito nung nangyari yan. Panay lang tayong paawa sa buong mundo pero wala naman talaga tayong ginagawa. May mga nagkokomento pa rin na mga tanga, na mga bobo. Sabi nila, hindi, kailangan natin ipakita sa buong mundo para maawa yung mga bansa. O, saan sila? Naawa ba? Asan yung awa-awa nila? Kailangan natin maiparating sa international eyes itong ano na ito para makita nila at tutulong sila. Nasaan ang tulong nila? Nagmumukha lang tayong mga kawawa. Okay. Sabi naman sa China side, sabi nila, very restrained pa rin ang kanilang action. Okay? Kung sa unang isip mo, sa unang observation mo, sasabihin mo, "Oo nga 'no." Hindi, sa unang tingin iisipin mo, paano naging very restrained 'yun? Sumampa sa boat ng, Philippine boat, binutasan yung boat, tapos may kinuha pang mga kagamitan ng Pilipinas, tapos sasabihin restrained? Oh, 'di ba? Sa unang isip mo 'yun. Iisipin mo, "Oo nga 'no." Pero kung titignan natin yung mga ibang bansa, let us try to look back to Russia and Ukraine. Kung titignan natin, ang China approach, ang pinaka-restrained na country sa lahat ng bansa. Bakit? Kasi kung ibang bansa yan, ginera na ang Pilipinas. Let us go back to Russia and Ukraine. Ano nangyari? Wala pang ginagawa ang Ukraine sa Russia, ginera na ng Russia ang Ukraine. So, pag usaping restrained o pagpipigil, mas restrained pa ang China kaysa sa any other countries. Yung palang naalarma pa lang, kumbaga nababahala pa lang si Putin na iniisip niya na baka sasali itong si kanyang little brother na si Ukraine sa NATO, doon pa lang wala nang restraint yun kasi sinugod na yung Ukraine. And also the same, what happened to Israel and Gaza, Israel and Palestine, and Iran. Walang ano yun eh. In fact, ito nga, may nagsabi nga ito. Ang China, the only country that has disputes around yung kanyang neighbor with the South China Sea sa mga islands na yan, pero nag-uusap pa rin. Except sa Pilipinas at this point in time dito sa Marcos administration na ito, no? Kasi yung mga ibang with dispute, Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, meron silang mga disputes diyan sa territorial na 'yan, no? Pero nag-uusap sila. Except lang talaga sa kay Marcos na administration, ayaw niya yung dialogo na 'yan. Kaya, siya yung black sheep kung tutuusin. Pero kung titignan natin yung Russia at Ukraine, puwede naman sila mag-usap, pero anong ginawa? Giyera. Israel at Palestine, puwede naman sila mag-usap, pero anong ginawa? Giyera. North Korea and South Korea, puwede namang magbati, pero, mas pinipili nilang war. You name them, okay? You can, enumerate these countries, only China na merong agawan ng teritoryo pero nananatili yung pag-uusap. Except nga dito kay Marcos na sa Pilipinas. Tayo po ay ipinapasubo dito sa nakaambang giyera na hindi naman talaga tayo kasama diyan, eh. Hindi tayo kasama diyan kasi China saka Taiwan ang may issue pero bakit tayo ginagamit dito sa nakaambang ano na ito. Ngayon, titingnan natin na itong usapin na World War III na ito, ah, hindi siya ano, hindi siya ano tawag nito, hindi siya hindi siya sakto na World War III, pero may posibilidad na ito ang magiging umpisa na nito. Kasi etong si, Putin, gusto na niya na magkaroon ng pag-uusap, okay, or magkaroon ng peace with Ukraine. Ano ang sabi ng NATO? Hindi, ayaw nila. So ibig sabihin, itong NATO countries na ito, including Estados Unidos, gusto pa rin pala nila na tuloy pa rin yung giyera between Russia and the Ukraine. So you could imagine these NATO countries na instead na sila ang magpayo dito sa Russia na sige mag-usap na tayo, magkaroon na tayo ng dialogo. Pero sila pa yung may ayaw. So eto kasi pag hindi na ito tumigil itong kasi ano yan merong ilan ba yon? Merong bagong 10-year deal ang NATO sa Ukraine, no? Na bagong approve, hindi, with the US pala, US and then Ukraine, na bagong approve na 10-year deal na pagsusupply ng kanilang armas sa Ukraine. So bago pa magkaroon ng change from Biden to Trump, ay sinisigurado na nila na eto, mag-sign tayo ng 10-year deal providing arms, weapons dito sa Ukraine. So ito po, magkakaroon, ito na yung prelude ng pagiging World War III. Kung babalikan natin yung history natin, nag-umpisa sa mga dalawang bansa muna na nagkagera, alright? France, Germany, and then hanggang sa nagkaroon na ng mga allies. So nagkasama-sama na, nagkaroon na ng ally, nagsama na yung Japan, okay, nagsama-sama na sila. Hanggang sa nag-spread out, kaya naging World War III. So nagkaroon na ng Allied and Axis powers, ganun. So naggera na yung buong mundo natin. And ang danger dito, kahit na sabihin na natin for now, ang nangyayaring gera ay between Russia and Ukraine, between Israel and Palestine or Iran, magsasama-sama yan, magkakaroon ng mga allies yan. Lalong-lalo na itong BRICS, no? Ang BRICS, ano ba to yung BRICS na to? Brazil, Russia, India, China, tapos yung South Africa. Ngayon, originally, 5 yan sila. Pero just now, recently, marami, I think, around 80 na countries ang nagbigay ng kanilang interest na mag-join dito sa BRICS na ito. So magkakaroon na ito ng labanan ng mga ganitong organization, BRICS versus NATO or BRICS versus G7 or G20, yung ganito. Alam mo, labanan na ito ng mga allies, mga ala-alay, so hanggang sa magkaroon na tayo ng World War III. So panoorin natin ito, itong sinasabi ng isang ex-CIA agent na ito. Panoorin natin.
Is barreling towards World War III. This after President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, offered up a peace agreement, which NATO, unceremoniously crapped all over. Now, Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, warning all of us that yes, in fact, NATO is moving to expand, building 3 additional bases, and plans to push us into full-blown war with Russia. Watch.
A NATO úgy akarja segíteni Ukrajnát, hogy létrehoz egy úgynevezett NATO-Ukrán missziót.
Ayan, so NATO wants to help Ukraine to create a so-called NATO-Ukraine mission.
Ez azt jelenti, hogy a NATO fogja koordinálni.
This means the NATO will coordinate the transfer of weapons to Ukraine.
Ukrajnának adandó fegyverek átszállítását, létre fognak hozni 3.
They will create 3 large bases where they will hand over weapons to Ukraine.
Nagy támaszpontot, ahol átadják a fegyvereket Ukrajnának, de még itt NATO országok területén. Lengyelországban, Szlovákiában, Romániában. Mi erre nem vagyunk hajlandóak. Szerintünk, ahol fegyvereket adnak át, az katonai célponttá válik az ellenség nézőpontjából, és ott bármi megtörténhet. És tehát az ukrán misszió...
So the Ukraine mission means that NATO create this weapon coordination transfer
azt jelenti a NATO felől, hogy létrehozza ezeket a fegyverkoordinációs átadási pontokat. A második, hogy a NATO tagállamok pénzt dobnak össze.
Okay, the second is that NATO members will do money to support Ukraine military efforts.
Hogy támogassák Ukrajna katonai erőfeszítéseit, és harmadrészt pedig kiképeznek ukrán katonákat. Van egy vita, hogy a saját területükön, vagy Ukrajna területén, de a lényeg, hogy a frontra menő ukrán katonák kiképzésében közvetlen szerepet vállalnak. Most Magyarország ebben nem akar részt venni. És ezt a problémát kellett megoldani. Nyilvánvalóan van rajtunk egy óriási nyomás. 31 tagállam tol bennünket bele.
31 member states are pushing us to move from the side of peace to the side of war. Nako.
Hogy úgy, ahogy ők, mi is álljunk át a béke oldaláról a háború oldalára.
And he's not the only one. We have Serbian President Vučić also saying the very same thing, that war with Russia will start in about 3 months. So 3 months till a full-blown war. This appears to be what NATO wants.
3 months, 3 months.
And NATO seems to be getting this. Let's ask former CIA intelligence agent Larry Johnson, who has some impeccable sources.
Ups. Like and share po tayo, guys.
On this, I wanted to get Larry's assessment of this from an intelligence perspective, and what is sort of like happening in the back channels right now as this appears to be barreling towards war. Larry, welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
Hey, Clayton. Great to be with you, man.
So, we see Putin put out this peace proposal the other day, and NATO just immediately just stepped all over it. No, we're not going to be giving back this land. This is not going to happen. And it appears that the only solution from NATO's perspective is like a surrender of Russia, which is not.
So, kita nyo ito po, mismong si Putin ang nag-offer ng peace. Ayaw ng NATO.
Going to happen. So what do you think is happening right now, sort of back channels, to maybe prevent World War III, or are we heading towards a full-blown World War III?
With respect to your last question, yes, that's where we're headed. Putin he's playing a game of poker with the West, and the West doesn't realize it's not holding any cards. So when you go back and look at the negotiations that took place in March of 22, Putin at that point was willing to let Luhansk and Donetsk stay within Ukraine. That was then. The West, as you correctly noted, crapped all over that, told Zelensky to back out of that. He did. So they didn't get that deal done. So now here we are. Putin has put a new deal on the table. Okay, this deal now says, all right, we're going to keep Donetsk, we're going to keep Luhansk, and we're going to keep Kherson and Zaporizhia. But come to the table and talk. We'll everything else is open. Notice what wasn't on that list: Odessa. So Putin has left Odessa in play for them, giving the West and Ukraine an incentive to save something of Ukraine. And what did the West do? Once again, as you said, crapped all over it. Okay, they missed this opportunity. Next stop, Odessa and Kiev. So the Russians are prepared. They recognize they are at war with NATO. They're not just fighting Ukraine. And Putin made that very clear last week when he spoke before the foreign ministry. And I was in Russia for the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum a week and a half ago. And it was during that week on Monday that I think it was Monday, June 4th, June 3rd, there was a decided shift in what both Vladimir Putin was saying, what Foreign Minister Lavrov was saying, and Deputy Foreign Minister Rybkov was saying. They were making it very clear that the West was playing with fire and that Russia was not going to sit back and be a punching bag. That was their bottom line. And so it's up to the West to figure out what it's going to do. The Russians are prepared to go to war. And here's the real problem. The West is delusional. It's out of touch. It believes its own advertisements. And it's in the self-delusional state where they've convinced themselves that Russia is weak, that the only reason Russia's hanging in there is because of China. And so what the Russ really wants to do is go after China, as you saw Jens Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, say just today. They want to fight China. These guys are like a drunk in a bar that's out of control, wants to fight everybody.
Mismo galing sa ex-CIA, ex-CIA analyst pala. Ex-CIA agent, sabi niya, delusional yung Amerika. They think that Russia is weak. And even China, they think China is weak. Sabi niya, para silang mga lasing na nasa bar na delusional na nag-iisip na weak itong bansa na ito.
And like that drunk in the bar, incapable of throwing a punch.
It's really disturbing, and Viktor Orban doesn't want to be a part of it, it appears, the Prime Minister of Hungary, as we just played that sound from you, and here he's laying out exactly what he's being told from a NATO perspective. I mean, this is kind of amazing. I mean, here you have a NATO member saying NATO wants to expand, added 3 additional bases, and they want full-blown war with Russia, and we don't want to be a part of it. I mean, I've never seen anything like this happen before.
Right, and Slovakia is saying the same, and Turkey. Now, that's the key one. Because the Turks
tingnan nyo yung Turkey,
and last week said, okay, hey, we want to be a part of BRICS. We're tired of getting stiffed by the
Euro. Yung Turkey na supposedly kasama ng NATO, gustong sumali sa BRICS. Nako, delikado to. Remember, ang BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, at South Africa.
Europeans for 25 years. We've been trying to get into the EU for 25 years, and they keep, giving us the finger.
Right.
And now Turkey said, okay, we're getting to BRICS. And the Turks told the rest of NATO, hey, if you get into war with Russia, count us out. Why?
Ay, salamat sa mga nagla-like at share. Thank you. Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat dyan.
Is that important? Turkey represents the second largest military force in NATO.
Second largest force sa NATO ang Turkey. Pero ayaw nilang sumali na girahin ang Russia. Bagkus gusto nilang sumali sa BRICS kung saan nandun ang Russia. Nako! Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Na bagamat ang naggigera ngayon ay Russia at Ukraine, huwag tayong kampante. Dahil pag sabi nga, pag full-blown out na ito, magiging World War III na ito kasi magkampi-kampihan na. You could imagine Turkey kasama ng NATO pero gusto nilang sumama sa BRICS. Second largest force under NATO ang Turkey pero gustong sumama sa BRICS. Ibig sabihin, kakampi siya sa Russia at China. You could imagine ito, bago natin ipagpatuloy yan, dito tayo sa BRICS. Ito, makikita natin dito sa Wikipedia. No? Itong BRICS na ito, ang founding members dito is yan, Brazil, Russia, India, China. Yan yung original, apat pala, apat. Tama, apat yan, BRIC yan dati. Hanggang sa sumali ang South Africa the next year. So naging BRICS siya. Ngayon, meron ng Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates. Nako, mga bigating mga bansa yan. Kaya hindi natin pwedeng maliitin itong BRICS na ito. Founded in 2009. At alam nyo ba ito yung nakakagulat nito. Ang BRICS encompasses the 30% of the world's land surface. So, ibig sabihin, kung ito yung mapa, yan, ito yung mapa. Ayan yung blue na yan. 30% ng lupain ng mundo ang BRICS. At kung population ang pinag-uusapan, 45% ng global population. Ibig sabihin, almost 50% na population ng buong mundo ay miyembro ng BRICS. So, pag-uusapan natin dito ang military force, kung 45% of global population, abay matinding kalaban ang BRICS na to. Kasi you could imagine, ilan ba ang population ng Brazil? Ilan ang population ng Russia? Tingnan natin. Population ng Russia, saan ba yung population nila? Ayan, population is ano ba to? 147, hindi ko alam kung million ba to o billion. Tingnan natin. 147 million. Okay. Tapos, ang Russia ay ang population ng Russia, Russia pala yung nakita ko kanina Brazil. Ang Brazil naman ay saan yung population nila? 205 million. And then, tignan natin yung India. Ang population ng India ay 1.4 billion. Okay. Ang China ang matindi dito. China, ilan ang population ng China? So ano bang pinupunto natin dito? 1.4 billion din. Ano bang pinupunto natin dito? Hindi natin pwedeng maliitin ang BRICS. The reason why marami na ang mga bansa na gustong sumali sa BRICS. Sige, tuloy natin itong sinasabi ni ex-CIA agent na ito.
Without Turkey, NATO's an empty shell.
Because ulitin natin yung sinabi niya. Sasali yung ang Turkey sa BRICS Tingnan nyo.
NATO's NATO. Without Turkey, NATO's an empty shell. Because
nako, patay. Thank you guys sa like and share. Ayan.
Right now in the U.S. military, the entire strength of the U.S. Army, 455,000. That covers the globe.
455,000 ang US Army. I-compare natin sa China.
Russian military is
Russia pala, sa Russia.
3 million.
What? 1.3 million? Russian forces? 1.3 million. US forces, 455,000. What?
Normally, any army that's going to get in an offensive action against a defending foe
Mm.
In this case, Russia would be the defending force.
Nako.
Needs a 3-to-1 advantage. Well, do the math. They got 1.3 million. That means you better be going in there with about 4 million folks. They can't even meet the recruiting goals in the United States. The only way they're meeting
Kaya ang ginagawa ng US, binabaan nila yung standard, yung pag-recruit ng kanilang US forces.
recruiting goals now, they lowered, last year they wanted to recruit like 70,000. They missed it. This year they're saying, yay, we're making our goal. Because they lowered the number to 55,000. Okay.
Right. This is how they play. Yeah.
When you're lying to yourself like this all the time, and you don't even recognize you're lying to yourself, that's a sign you're in trouble.
And of course, we learned now the House of Representatives pushing forward with this move to make mandatory registration for service members, men 18 to 26-year-old in the United States.
Binabaan nila 18 to 26 years old na.
Selective service. So as part of a national draft age. So this is really, really scary. I mean, and you heard.
Pero kahit binabaan nila yung standards nila doon sa kanilang recruitment sa US forces nila, wala. Russia pa lang yan. How much more yung China? I mean, we're talking about BRICS, guys. Russia pa lang, 1.4 billion ang US force. I mean, yung tao sa military, talo na ang US dyan. This is the reason why ang US, ang ginagawa nila, nagkikreate sila ng proxy wars. Gusto nilang mapagod itong mga kalaban nilang bansa by using other military forces, not their own forces. Kasi pag ginamit nila yung kanilang own forces, mababawasan yung 455,000 na US forces na yan. Ayaw nilang ilagay sa alanganin yung sarili nilang mga military. So, anong ginagawa nila? Gagamitin yung Ukraine forces para sabihin na natin kahit matalo yung Ukraine forces, pagkatapos ng giyera, or in the middle of gera ng Russia at Ukraine, syempre apektado yung Ukraine, apektado rin yung Russia. Kasi yung 1.4 million Russian forces na yan, mababawasan yan. They will do anything and everything to exhaust Russian forces, the Russian power, by using other countries para umatake. Ngayon, sasali na yung NATO. Hindi lang Ukraine, so sasali yung mga bansang NATO na ito, magkakaroon din ng mga kabawasan doon sa NATO countries sa kanilang forces. Siyempre, hindi naman pwedeng walang mamamatay sa any of the side ng mga gera na yan.
The Serbian President Vučić also saying that in about 3 months, this is when they're going to war. Like, they're privy to this information, whether through intelligence sources or not. I mean, what from your intelligence sources, when you hear Vučić say something like 3 months, that's when we're heading to war with Russia, or NATO is heading to war with Russia. Do your alarm bells go off? Are you able to confirm, deny anything like that on your side?
Well, from the rhetoric standpoint, in terms of what they're saying, not just what Orban's saying, but what Stoltenberg is saying, what members of Congress are saying, yeah, I think that's the direction we're headed. But here's the problem. Behind that talk, it's easy to be, tough talk and the bombast and the belligerency. But that means you got to put in place, under the U.S. military, let's call it JOPS, the Joint Operations Planning Execution System. There's a thing called the tip fiddle. Well, that is the time phase introduction of troops. So tip fiddle means you got to start notifying units. Okay, hey, you're going to deploy, and they get the warning. They get an alert order, and then they get a warning order, and then they get a deployment order, and then so that takes time. Right. I know, for example, on the Gulf War, in the war that started in 2003 in Iraq, that whole process started a year out. So I have not heard any word that tip fiddle has actually been activated and that they're starting to move troops. But even if they do that, where are they going to get the troops? They don't. It's not like everybody, England's sitting there, max force, 70,000 guys. Okay. That's how many people Ukraine has lost in 2 months. Just to put it into context.
Grabe, no? Dami, no?
Germans, similar size. Finland, Sweden. I mean, NATO's is a joke. And
NATO is a joke.
It's talking. Its mouth is trying to cash checks that it just can't actually write.
Is it possible then that we wouldn't see NATO trying to go into a direct hot war with Russia, but rather continue down this path? After all, President Biden over the past few days signing that ridiculous 10-year agreement with Zelensky to funnel billions
10-year agreement.
more in weapons and money into Ukraine for 10 years. I guess really regardless of whoever's president, they know that they wanted to get this done before Biden's replaced in office by Gavin Newsom in the next few weeks. So they want to get this done ahead of time so that Trump can't undermine it, can't pull this money back. Is it possible that it'll just continue to be a sieve where we'll just continue to pour money and weapons to clean out the stocks, but not actually go into a full-blown direct hot war with Russia, or has that ship already sailed?
Well, the U.S. can't figure out what it wants to do, and neither can NATO. Because on the one hand, they continue to talk like, okay, we got to step up and get that funding for Ukraine. Except even Stoltenberg admitted, about 3 weeks ago, hey, all of you NATO countries that promised ante up for Ukraine, where's your money? You refused to pay up.
Right.
So
Kaya nga, hanggang salita lang kayo, NATO na yan. Anong ginagawa nyo? Ginigipit nyo rin yung mga bansang nasa gitna ng giyera. Hanggang salita kayo, saan yung pera? Yun yung tanong.
they're not kicking in, and at the same time, the rhetoric is shifting. Well, Russia's a problem, but China's the threat. We got to deal with China. And so then you start scratching your head saying, okay, guys, can we get rational? Right now, we got a U.S. aircraft carrier task force in the Red Sea.
Ito. Pakinggan nyo to. Ito ang nagpapatunay na walang kwenta ang Estados Unidos. Pakinggan nyo to.
And they can't stop the Houthis, for God's sake. These guys are wearing sandals and carrying curved daggers and throwing missiles at us, and we can't stop that. But by God, we're going to take on the Chinese.
Okay. So anong sabi niya? Ito yung patunay, isa sa patunay na walang kwenta ang Estados Unidos. Bakit? Ang kanilang carrier, the US carrier, nandyan sa Red Sea. Pero, nakita naman natin na nagiging issue yung pagpapirate or pagpipira ang mga piratang Houthis. Itong mga Houthi. Na nakita nyo naman, even our own Filipino sailors ay nagkakaroon ng problema dahil dyan sa mga Houthi na yan. Ang carrier mo nandyan sa Red Sea. Anong silbi mo? Bakit hindi nyo mapatigil yung Houthi na yan? Ito, masasabi namin na wala kayong kwenta. Ngayon, ang Pilipinas, laging sinasabi ng Amerikano, our support to the Philippines is ironclad. Nek-nek ninyo. Houthi nga, nandyan kayo, wala kayong nagawa. Tapos sasabihin nyo, ironclad. Asan yung ironclad? Naputol yung daliri ng isang soldier dyan. Nasaan kayo? Binutasan, pinancture, whatever, kinuha dyan. Sasabihin nyo, illegal yung ginawa. Nasaan kayo? Kaya, paano tayo magiging dependent dito sa kano kung wala naman pala silang kwenta?
And while we're at it, we're going to fight the Russians. Okay, get the bottle away from them. Take the syringe out of their hand. It's like a degenerate drug addict.
Yeah.
They are completely divorced from reality. And,
divorced from reality. Kasi feeling kasi ninyo napakalakas na ng mga Amerikano. Feeling ninyo sila ang police of the world. Feeling ninyo sila ang savior of the world. Pero in reality, they are going down. At yan po i-explain ulit mamaya nitong redacted na ito regarding about dyan sa BRICS. Kasi BRICS is the new world order. Sila na po yung bago ngayon. In fact, sila i-explain din nila na ang US currency, ang dollars, palubog na yan. Papunta na sa dagat, sa ilalim ng dagat. Mamaya panoorin natin yan, but in the meantime, tapusin natin ito.
It's one thing to talk about it, but it's the other thing to do.
Yeah.
And here's the reality is the ability of the United States to do is extremely limited, particularly in this year where you've got a presidential election. Do you think all the young people are lining up going, good Lord, I never thought about enlisting, and being drafted is a great idea. Plus they're taking away my TikTok. I can't wait to vote.
Right. I can't wait to and you're going to send me to fight China? Yeah, sign me up. Yeah, they are devoid.
By the way, how are we going to get there? You're going to get on a ship that's completely vulnerable to the hypersonic missiles that China has, and we don't? Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, get on an aircraft carrier. Yeah, get on a sitting duck aircraft carrier from the 1970s. I mean, they are...
Pati yung aircraft carrier ng US daw, nung 1970 pa. Ibig sabihin, luma-luma na. Samantalang yung aircraft carrier ng China, nako, kung makikita niyo lang, kahit pumunta kayo sa mga cities ng China, lahat doon high-tech na high-tech. AI, lahat, including payment, cashless, lahat po, may mga train na pabaliktad at kung ano-ano. Mamamangha ka talaga sa totoo lang. Yun lang. I mean, that's reality ngayon. Pababa na ang akala lang natin malakas ang US kasi nakikita natin na meron silang pinapakita na kanilang military forces, yung kanilang mga kagamitan. Yes, pwede yun. Pero sila kasi mayayabang. Okay? They present all this in public, pinapakita nila, ito, malakas kami. Pero yung mga ibang countries like Russia, China, tinatago lang nila yan. Magugulat ka na lang pag nagkaroon ng gera. Ewan ko na lang.
Really devoid of reality right now. It's like me when I was in in elementary school, and I thought I was going to play in the NBA. It didn't happen. And well, we'll see. We'll see if Vucic is right. 3 months, 3-month countdown is on. We'll see if Orban is right. The NATO expanding 3 additional bases and wants a hot war with Russia. We'll be watching all of this as we head into whoever replaces Joe Biden here in the next few weeks. As we head into this crazy 2024 election. Larry, you're going to be very busy. We're going to be busy.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 months. 3 months ang antayin natin. Tingnan natin kung magiging totoo itong nakaambang World War III na ito. Well, it doesn't really tell us na in 3 months time talaga. Kasi kahit sabihin na natin in 3 months mag-uumpisa yung war between patuloy pa rin yung war in Russia and Ukraine, hindi natin alam eh. Baka aabot pa ng 1 year, depende na rin yan. Kasi kung babalikan natin yung World War II, paano ba nag-umpisa yung World War II? Nag-umpisa ang World War II nung in-invade ng Nazi o ni Hitler ang Poland. Yan naman ang umpisa niyan eh. So ibig sabihin, pwede nating i-compare ito sa Russia at ng Ukraine. Nung in-invade nung Russia ang Ukraine, nung nagkaroon ng giyera ang Israel at ng Gaza, Palestine, Iran, sasali na. Iran kasama sa BRICS yan eh. Di ba? So yan, nagkaroon na sila ng 6 years na giyera hanggang nagkaroon na sila ng ala-alay na yan. Sumali na rin ng Germany, sumali na rin ng Japan, ang Italy. So yan po, ganyan po ang yan. Hindi naman agad-agad but who knows, magiging starting date in 3 months time. Yan po ang napakadelikado. Ngayon, yung sinasabi ko kanina na the US dollars or the US economy or the US country is going down. Ito po yun, panoorin natin.
Possible that in 3 short years we have witnessed such a monumental shift in the global world order that it would leave the Roman Empire shocked and appalled. After all, the Roman Empire took about 200 years to finally collapse. It was a slow burn. This week, we saw a number of massive stories that were once again ignored by the mainstream media, from the BRICS nations shaking up the financial system to major geopolitical movements involving Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia. Putin calling for peace and NATO crapping all over it, saying, no, we don't want your peace. Take your peace and shove it. We want more war.
So this is not a peace proposal.
To Biden shaking hands with Zelensky, agreeing to fund Ukraine for another 10 years. 10 more years, billions
Parang robot si Biden.
of dollars while America crumbles. Yes, we're going to send billions to the most corrupt government in Europe.
I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman of any politician that's ever lived. Every time he comes to our country, he walks away with $60 billion.
Real talk. Di ba? Kaya siguro gustong-gusto nitong si Zelensky yung patuloy ng war kasi alam niyang, sabi, every time he walks to our country, he walks out with the $60 billion. Corrupt.
Winds of change are blowing strong right now, so buckle up because we're going to dive deep into all of this tonight. So let's start with the transformative events recently announced by the BRICS nations. Now, if you're not familiar with BRICS, it started, as the name suggests, as a loose economic and trade partnership between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And now it's exploded, becoming a powerhouse, creating their very own currency away from the US dollar.
Wow. Very own currency. Ito, i-explain niya kung paano yun. Paano babagsak ang US dollars. Ayan. Sana maintindihan natin. Di na natin kailangang i-translate sa Tagalog to.
Dominance. And countries are racing right now to join the BRICS coalition and ditch the US dollar.
Nako.
But we have 2 huge BRICS stories this week. First, BRICS announced a new payment system that directly challenges the dominance of the US dollar in international transactions. No more SWIFT system.
Nako.
Guys, the currency part of it is one thing, but the infrastructure to settle transactions is now out of U.S. hands. This move marks a significant step away from the dollar-centric global economy that we've been knowing for decades. Even more shocking is the end of a 50-year agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia, which required the export of oil exclusively in U.S. dollars.
Saudi Arabia has officially ended its 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States, shifting to a multi-currency system.
So on June 9th,
Nako. Saudi Arabia kasi merong deal ang Saudi at saka ng US na yung kanilang export ng gas ay using US dollar currencies. Ngayon, hindi na nag-renew ang Saudi Arabia sa US. Hindi na nag-renew. Dito na sila sa BRICS. Takto.
2024, just a few days ago, this agreement officially ended. That's right. Saudi Arabia officially said bye-bye. The Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, has chosen not to renew the partnership with the United States, opting instead to open Saudi oil trade to other countries and other currencies. Hello, China. Hello, Russia. I mean, holy smokes, guys. I mean, I can't...
Patay tayo dyan. Hello, China. Hello, Russia. Bye-bye, US. Alam nyo, ganito kasi yan, no? Every time, ito na-explain din ito. Explain din mamaya to, no? Every time na, di ba may sanction itong economic sanction ang US sa mga ibang bansa like sa China. Sinasanction nila. O Google, tinanggal nila doon sa China. Di ba? TikTok. At kung ano nung sanction ang ginagawa nila. Every time na nagsasanction sila sa isang bansa, hindi nila naisip na pinapababa nila ang value ng kanilang dollars. Kasi nawawala na yung transaction ng US transaction or US dollars transaction doon sa bansa na sinasanction nila. Mamaya explain din yan.
Understate how big a deal this is.
And you must understand BRICS is an organization, a bloc that is openly called for de-dollarization.
Mm-hmm.
So having Saudi Arabia the backbone of the petrodollar, join BRICS. I mean, you couldn't make up a bigger slap in the face. I can guarantee you they are not feeling very good right now in Washington, D.C.
This is a massive blow to the status of the US dollar as the world's only reserve currency, a position it has held for 5 decades. Now, we've been warning for months that this was about to happen. With Saudi Arabia now joining China's central bank digital currency project, we are witnessing a seismic shift in the landscape of global trade and global finance. The era of the US dollar as the sole superpower currency is officially over. And this is not hyperbole. US dollar dominance is now over. Liberals can try to spin it any way they want, but you're not stupid. And none of those fawning members of the Biden press corps are going to ask the White House about it. They're too stupid to understand how big a deal this is. Last week, U.S. Congressman Thomas Massie appeared on Tucker Carlson's show with an unfiltered breakdown of what's happening to the U.S. dollar. He didn't hold back.
At some point, they're going to quit using our dollars as reserve currency. I mean, I watched your interview with Putin, and one of the things, whether you hate him or not, one of the things he said that is true is when we sanctioned him, before we sanctioned Russia, 70% of their transactions were in US dollars.
Okay. So, sinanction ng US ang Russia. Prior to sanction, syempre merong business deals, economic deals ang Russia at ng US. 70% ang gamit ay US dollar currency. Nung sinanction na sila, ano nangyari?
And after the sanctions, it's less than 20% of their transactions are in US dollars.
Malaking kabawasan yun sa ekonomiya ng US. Kaya kung tutuusin, hindi nag-iisip ang US. Sanction sila ng sanction, sila din naman ang nawawalan. Ngayon, ano na nangyari? Gera sila ng gera, okay? Kung hindi nila madaan sa pagsira ng bansa, dadaanin nila sa sanction. So, ang iniisip nila, kailangan girahin, sirain itong bansa. Samantalang yung mga ibang bansa like China and Russia, they're going to other countries helping to build another countries having economic deals with them. Just like China. Anong ginagawa ng China? Sinisiraan nila yung Silk Road ng China. Yung ano yung project yung China, yung road belt road nila, yung BRI nila. Sinisiraan nila pero malaking tulong yun sa ekonomiya ng China and those countries na nagkakaroon sila ng connection ng belt road na yan. Yun ang hindi tayo nagmamagaling pero I mean, di naman kailangan pag-aralan mo to ng very intensive para maintindihan.
As Massie points out, every time the U.S. government introduces a new economic sanction, the world moves one step closer to de-dollarization. The same thing is happening right now with the U.S. government's microchip battle against China. The same thing is happening.
Microchip. Kaya gustong pasukin ng US ang Taiwan kasi doon sa battle of microchip. Yan ang isang interest nila dyan.
With AI and electricity with China. The United States has to basically double our electricity output just to compete with China on the AI and microchip front. President Trump just admitted this.
And the electricity needs are greater than anything we've ever needed before to do AI at the highest level. And China will produce it because they'll do whatever you have to do, whereas we have environmental impact people and we have a lot of people trying to hold us back. But massive amounts of electricity are needed in order to do AI. And we're going to have to generate a whole different level of energy.
We've fallen so far behind China, it's disgusting. Saudi Arabia is also considering full BRICS membership later this year and is
January 2, 2024.
Expanding its oil trade to include more countries and currencies. This is a direct threat to the petrodollar system that has propped up the U.S. economy for decades. But the BRICS shockwave doesn't stop there. Something seismic happened on June 10th and the 11th at the BRICS foreign ministers meeting. 59 new countries announced plans to join BRICS.
59, guys. 59. And 59 ang gustong mag-join sa BRICS. And kung titignan natin ang NATO, ayan, ang NATO, ito sila, ayan yan. Nambayan sila. Greece, Estonia, Portugal, Montenegro. Ano yung mga yan? So, minamalit natin sila. Kaya lang, you could imagine yung BRICS. Halos 40% ng population, 45% ng global population comprises yung BRICS. Samantalang ito, tingnan nga natin ito. Population, ayan, NATO. US, UK, Turkey. Itong Turkey kino-consider na mag-join sa sa BRICS. Spain, Sweden, Slovenia, Slovakia, Romania, Portugal, Poland, Norway, North Macedonia, Netherlands, Montenegro, Luxembourg, Lithuania, Latvia. Okay. So, yun. Yan natin.
It's fortunately.
I know. What a crazy year.
No. Ito.
I mean, what? 59 new countries?
Mm-hmm.
And during the meeting, they agreed to an astonishing $78 billion in bilateral trade deals.
Nako.
Yes. They publicly announced plans to ditch the US dollar also at this meeting for local currencies.
Okay, ditch. So, itong 59 new countries na papasok nito, bagsak na. Kasi kung titingnan natin, originally, ito kasi yan, explain ko sa inyo. New Development Bank. Ito po ay kinreate ng BRICS na meron silang sariling bangko. Parang yan, katumbas yan ng World Bank or IMF. Okay? Ngayon, para mapalaki nila itong New Development Bank na ito, kailangan nilang pondohan ito. So, ayan 75 billion to boost the lending power of the International Monetary Fund. However, sabi niya, this loan was unconditional on IMF voting reforms. In March 2013, during the 5th BRICS Summit in Durban, nag-agree sila na popondohan nila itong bagong gawa nila na bangko. Ito yun, ito. Nakabase yan sa Shanghai sa China. Paano? Magkano? Ayan. Ang China, popondo sila ng 41 billion. Ang Brazil, India at Russia, 18 billion each sa kanila. So 41, okay? 41 billion sa China, 18 billion US dollars sa Brazil, 18 din naman sa India at 18 sa Russia. At 5 billion naman sa South Africa in creating itong kanilang new development bank. Ngayon, kung sasali itong 59 new members, abay, wala na. Tapos na yung US. Tapos na yung US dollar currency na yan.
Cross-border transactions. So they made this announcement. We're done. We're done using the US dollar. This is game over, folks. Russian President Putin laid it out this week.
One of the greatest mistakes of the United States is they're prohibiting from using dollar as in international payments and using it as a tool, and they're simply undermining the trust towards dollar. It's ridiculous. They should have taken care of the dollar and to preserve it and to raise its profile and its standing. They're simply killing it off with their own hands.
Putin knows exactly what he's
doing. Ano ba naman yan? Yung translator nila, babae. Dapat lalaki naman, lalaki yung si Putin, tapos yung translator, babae din. Kala ko tuloy, babae yung nagsasalita.
He's doing, allowing these developing countries to start moving away from the US dollar, stop being bullied by the United States. Oh boy. President Biden's foolish sanctions against Russia have turned the world against the US dollar. And China knows exactly what's coming. That's why they've been dumping US treasuries like a bad habit.
And we're also sending a really clear signal, which is the dollar's not safe for you.
Right.
That's the reserve currency because it's a safe haven, because it's a stable country. It's the most stable country in the world, and we're not going to weaponize the dollar because that would be shooting ourselves. but suddenly we are.
This BRICS system seeks to eliminate the global dominance of the US dollar, creating a payment system using local currencies that is free from US sanctions and outside political pressure. And now that NATO has rejected Putin's peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine, we are in for a totally different world over the next few years. So guys, that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to tell you about today's sponsor.
Okay. So yun na yun. Na tunghayan po natin yung talagang pagbagsak. Una, yung World War III. Pangalawa, dito yung pagbagsak nga ng US dollar currency and even the US. Kumbaga, pabagsak na ng pabagsak dito sa ginagawa kasi ng US na ito. They're trying to destroy countries in a way na akala nila sila din yung magbe-benefit. Pero the other way around. Kasi like for example, nabanggit ka doon sa sanction. Pag sinanction mo ang isang bansa, sinusuppress mo doon yung flow ng US dollars mo. So pag nabawasan yung kita mo dahil sinanction mo yung bansa, wala na yung yung in and out ng US dollars, babagsak yung currency mo. Ngayon dahil sa kayabangan ng US na ito and the other members dito, kayabangan nila, akala nila mami-maintain nila for the rest of their lives yung US currency. Kasi itong emerging na BRICS na ito, you could imagine 59 countries are interested to join dito sa BRICS na ito. Once na nakapasok yung 59 na yan, kahit hindi lahat ng 59 na yan ay papasok talaga dahil maaari, merong iba sa kanila, mag-iiba yung kanilang decision. But yung 59, maybe may 20 na sigurado dyan or maybe 30 na sigurado dyan or kahit 10 na sigurado dyan, tas malalaki yung population ng bansa na magjo-join dyan, talagang malaki yung impact nito sa US. Kasi like for example, pag popondohan mo yung bangko na yan, I mean anything can go from banks to payment system to energy, I mean yung power, lahat, yung kuryente, lahat yan magki-create na sila ng kanilang sariling production or sariling currency, sariling bangko, yung pagpapautang nila, hindi na kailangan mag-rely sa World Bank. Kasi kung meron niyang New Development Bank ng BRICS. So ibig sabihin, you could imagine even the petrol, hindi na nag-renew ang Saudi Arabia sa deal nila using US dollars with the US. Ngayon, nag-hello na sila sa China, nagbababay na sila sa US. So that's a very big factor kasi biruin mo, dyan nanggagaling yung oil, yung petrol sa Saudi Arabia. Tapos, hindi na nag-renew sa US. Malaking impact yan sa US economy. Kaya, itong yung Marcos administration na ito, choosing the US, na akala nila, ally, kaibigan, sila yung magtatanggol sa atin, is not a wise move. I would rather choose to join the BRICS kasi ito na yung bago, the new world order. Ang bagong superpower. In fact, hindi siya yung parang, hindi, US is the superpower. Hindi na eh. Feeling ko pag nag-join ka sa BRICS, lahat kayo pantay-pantay eh. Kasi magkakaroon ng progress, lahat ng bansa, pantay-pantay ang daloy. Halimbawa ako, Pilipinas, gusto kong manghiram kasi member ako ng BRICS, gusto kong manghiram o pahihiramin ako ng New Development Bank na ito na hindi naman masyadong dihado. Like for example, kung ngayon manghihiram ako sa World Bank tapos ganito kataas yung interest rate, tapos hawak-hawak ka pa sa leeg. So I believe dito sa bagong organization na BRICS na ito, the reason why 59 countries are interested to join in, nakikita nila yung positibong epekto nito na nagtutulungan sila. You could imagine, si Putin binisita yung North Korea. Ngayon, bibisitahin niya yung Vietnam. yung Vietnam merong ano yan, merong foreign policy na friend to all, enemy to no one. Kaibigan yung Amerika, kaibigan din yung China. So, makikita ninyo dito na bakit kung ako si Russia, Putin, bakit ko bibisitahin yung Vietnam? Kinakaibigan niyang US eh. So, walang ganon sa kanila. Hindi, alam mo yun, hindi ito yung dapat dito ako, hindi dapat dito ako. Kapag nagbe-benefit naman ang ekonomiya natin o even military natin sa with these negotiations with other countries, why not? Kaso ang ginagawa ng US, parang gusto niya magkaroon ng division sa buong mundo para may chaos, para may war. Pag may war, may kitaan. Ang kawawa ang taong bayan, ang mga tao sa countries na yan kasi sila naman ang casualties dyan, including the military forces. So, yan po ang dapat isipin sana ng Marcos administration na ito na ayaw natin sa gera. We don't want war kasi joining this, itong parang naging sales boy pa ito ni Biden o ng Estados Unidos, itong si Marcos, kung saang-saang bansa pumupunta. Tapos nagsasalita siya na, we don't yield. We will fight, blah, blah, blah. Atin ito, South China Sea, West Philippine Sea, blah. Parang, alam mo yun, ikaw yung nagiging salesman ng Estados Unidos. Hindi naman mga tanga yung mga bansang yan. Pumunta ka ng Australia at sasabihin mo, hindi, ganito kami, lalaban tayo, ganito, ganyan. Pero pagkaalis mo ng Australia, ano nangyari? Nagkaroon ng dialogo ang Australia at saka China. What an insult to you. Actually, to us, damay kami kasi mga Pinoy kami. Tapos magkakaroon tayo ng tema na piliin mo ang Pilipinas. Paano mo pipiliin yung Pilipinas? Yung sarili mong gobyerno ay nilalagay ka sa kapahamakan. Inilalagay ka sa nakaambang war. Paano mo pipiliin yung Pilipinas kung nakakahiya tayo dahil sa pamumuno mo? I mean, proud tayo bilang Pilipino. Kaya lang, kung ganito ang gobyerno mo na pinapahiya ka, you could imagine sinasabi ng mga boss namin dito, how can you Filipinos still choose that Marcos? Didn't you know your history? Di ba nakaka-insulto yun na sabihin sa atin yun? Sila pa mismo nakakaalam sa tunay na nangyayari. Tapos tayo, naiboto pa daw natin itong Marcos na ito. Samantalang magnanakaw naman daw. Saka sinasabi nila, alam niyo yung Pangulo ninyo, ginagawa kayong pawn. Pawn, US pawn talaga kayo. What a very insulting pahayag galing sa mga foreign entities. So, I don't know. I mean, we keep on fighting on this na hindi tayo susuko na kahit mga nandyan pa rin yung mga bulag na sasabi nila, hindi, the best president daw si Marcos, ganito, ganyan. Sana naman, I mean, sana one day magising talaga kayo at makita ninyo ang tunay na nangyayari. Kasi even foreign people, they see what is really going on. May nakaambang panganib at digmaan dito. Tapos sasabihin ninyo, mga takot kasi kayo, mga duwag kayo, kagaya nung Tatay Digong, kayo mga DD shit kayo. Yung mga ganun, nasasabi ninyo yun? Samantalang yan may naputulan ng daliri. Nasaan yung matapang dyan? Matapang yung Pangulo? Nasaan? Matapang yung Estados Unidos? Nasaan? Hamunin nyo sila at sabihin ninyo, bakit hinayaan natin, hanggang medal lang ba yan? Bibigyan nyo lang ng medal yung naputulan ng daliri? Wala kayong actions? Diyan nyo hanapin yung tapang na sinasabi ninyo. Diba? So, that's it. Balikan natin ng history. Kasi history repeats itself. Guys, kalampagin natin sila. Kung kinakailangang murahin natin sila, ay hindi. Huwag natin silang murahin. Ipaintindi natin. No? So, yun lang guys. Dito na po magtatapos ang ating usapin dito sa World War III na ito. Antabayanan natin. Hindi natin gusto itong mangyari. Gusto natin sana hindi ito matuloy kaya panalangin natin pa rin. Kasi hindi naman malayong mangyari yan eh. World War III na yan. Nag-umpisa na yung sa Russia at Ukraine. Pag wala talaga itong pag halimbawa tayo na nagkakaroon tayo ng mga discussion na ganito, tapos yung alam mo yun, yung nananatiling sarado ang kaisipan ng ating mga kababayan, madadamay tayo eh. Madadamay tayo lahat dito. Walang silbi yung mga ng mga napundar ninyo, mga ipon ninyo, trabaho kayo ng trabaho, abroad at Pilipinas, nakapagpatayo kayo ng bahay ninyo, may business kayo. Walang silbi yung mga yan. Pag binomba kayo at napuno yung Russia at nag-nuclear na sila, dinaan nila sa nuclear, wala yan. Pulbos lahat yung mga inyong mga ipinundar. Walang sinabi yan pag may giyera na. Daig pa yan ng mga bagyo at lindol na pag tayo ay napulbos dahil sa nuclear na. Nuclear na yung labanan ngayon, kaya nga may Cold War eh. Kasi nga, pilit pinipigilan na magkaroon ng, kasi after ng World War II, nagkaroon na ng mga ideas, di ba, nung nabomba yung Hiroshima at Nagasaki, syempre yung mga ibang bansa, nag-develop na rin sila ng kanilang mga sarili-sariling nuclear. Kasi takot na rin sila na baka sila ay kumbaga merong pang-counter, kung bombahin nyo kami, meron din kaming nuclear. Kaya ang labanan ngayon, takutan ng may nuclear din kami. Sabi ni North Korea, meron kami. Eto kami. Sabi ni China, meron. Sabi ni Russia, India, meron kami yan. Ngayon, labanan ng nuclear na, hindi kagaya dati. So, yun lang. Hanggang sa muli. Maraming salamat. Jasmine, nako sayang mansion, hindi pa tapos. Yun na nga. Tapos pupulbusin. Paumpisa pa lang yung 4 na poste, tapos mapupulbos na dahil sa nuclear. Nasaan si Tariela? Magsalita kayo. Nagsalita sila. Pero pa-victim effect, ano mangyayari yung pa-victim effect? Inevitable ang World War III pag nagpatuloy. Foreign policy ng US ego ang pinaiiral. Talagang unlike dati na medyo pa. Ngayon nuclear na ang labanan ngayon. Huwag tayong pakampante dito. According to military intel, the existing nukes bombs of America is about 2,000 times stronger than that plutonium bomb dropped at Hiroshima. Exactly. Dati, plutonium. Ngayon, na? Mas delikado na ngayon ang mga na-develop na nuclear ngayon. Nasaan na yung mga US Navy hindi naman nakatulong? Exactly. Nay, Mama Claire, Anyo Viray, ayan, patalsikin si Bangag, okay. Pilipinas, kaya anong meron? Anong meron sa Pilipinas? Gusto mo makita kung anong meron sa Pilipinas? Teka, ipapakita ko sa inyo
I command for divine decree, rest now! General Santos, pasulong!
Okay. Sa ibang bansa, okay, advanced na yung kanilang military forces. Sa Pilipinas, ito. Ayan. Ayan sa Pilipinas. Ayan. Ayan ang panlaban natin. Tawagin nyo si Tariela. At yan ang panlaban natin pag maputulan ng daliri, ayan, kaliwa, kanan. Diba? You could imagine, ang yayabang natin, kala mo kung sinong matapang, naputulan ng daliri, mga wala silang nagawa. So yun lang, hanggang sa muli, maraming salamat, ingat po tayo.